Hello everyone, it's Lennon. I thought I would take you along with me doing this activity. It's not really an activity that everyone can do. I do feel blessed, but we're going to be cleaning some bones today. Now I'm not going to be showing you a lot of the process because I know a lot of people don't like to see animal parts, animal bones, things like that, but I wanted to kind of talk about something while I clean the bones. I had already started cleaning the bones and I was like, why am I not filming this? So I was at my parents' recently, and my dad had told me that he ventured out to the outskirts of his plot of land, or their plot of land, which is about 4 acres, and they've got like a lake on their property. And so there's a lot of wildlife around their property. And he had told me that he had come across some bones and, to go check it out. So here I go. I walk out, and because I know, they don't really know anything about my witchcraft. They don't know literally nothing about that part of my life, but they know that I've always been drawn to that macabre stuff. So he sent me out, and I went out with some of the kitties, and we just went on a nature walk, and I found the bones. And it turns out that because I know a lot about finding bones in nature, I'm pretty sure that this was a baby deer. And as tragic as it was that this baby deer probably fell prey to a bigger predator, probably a wolf or a coyote, because they have some of those, in their area as well. It was probably due to something like that. As tragic as it is, it did feel like a gift from the universe to Lennon, because when I got there, I felt this severe need to just plop down and thank the earth. So I got on my knees, and I remember putting my hands in the dirt by the bones and just going, thank you, this is a beautiful gift, I'm going to take care of them, blah 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 blah. Just had like a little thing, a little conversation with the universe, so with Mother Earth specifically. And anyway, it was a beautiful experience for me to come upon these bones, and it was pretty much a full skeleton that I was able to dig up. And according to what they looked like, they were already picked clean, so there wasn't any meat on the bones, and they had already bleached, so they had been sun bleached, so they were pretty, naturally cleaned already from their, seasons and seasons, and animals. They had already done their job in terms of feeding the other carnivorous animals that were in the area. So, there's that. So I didn't feel bad about, collecting and taking them, because they'd already done what they were supposed to in the cycle of life. So they're gifts for Lennon. Now, how I clean the bones when I collect them naturally like this is I get a couple of things that everybody's got. I get a plastic box like this, and I fill it with water. I just have tap water. You can use any kind of water you want. And dish soap. So I usually keep a couple of drops in the bottom of old jugs for reasons like this, like when I want to come out and do some cleaning with various natural things that I find, even if it's like certain sticks that I'd like to use in certain crafts. I clean them like this as well. It's nothing too invasive about this project. And you just plop the bones in this plastic bin of water and dish detergent, and suds it up with your hand. Okay, now I will say that these bones didn't have any meat on them. However, you don't know which animals have bitten off this. You don't know what you're allergic to in terms of certain herbs that may have grown around these bones. So it's nice to wear gloves, but because of the way in which I came upon these bones, them being already naturally cleaned through various seasons of rain and sun bleaching, they're pretty clean. Okay. However, after I handle them, at any time, if I touch them at all with my bare hands, I wash my hands thoroughly afterwards. So swish them around. I sometimes I use gloves if I feel a certain way about the bones, but today I'm not. I've just been using my hands, so And I only wear stainless steel jewelry, so water's okay for that. So all those things you need to think about. Now, warning here at the top, I will show you some of these bones. So if you are not comfortable with that, just click off, because no skin off my nose if you have to click off because you don't want to see bones. So I'm going to show you some bones that I collected that have been in the water. They've kind of been soaking. Sometimes when the dirt is like there's a high count of dirt, I let them soak for longer than other bones. But I've gotten some leg bones. Look at this beauty. This porous beauty here. Some, I mean, I guess, ooh, these are really porous. I guess, size of my hand. Good sturdy bones. These are leg and arm bones, okay? Look at this big one. Ooh. See how they're leaking? There's a lot of soak up factor in these bones. Like leaking, like they absorb a lot of the water, which, to be honest, you really need to let them dry thoroughly. If you're going to wash them, you have to let them dry thoroughly. I tend to like wash them like this and then really rinse them with like a hose, like a outdoor backyard hose in the yard, usually on some kind of like tray, like a cookie sheet, something that has holes in it, and I just like rinse them down with the hose and then let them air dry in the sun for like days to make sure that all this like water comes out of all the pores. But first, after I let them soak, I take another piece of really important equipment. Now, this is a cheap, literally a cheap ass toothbrush, like the cheapest you can find. Doesn't even fucking matter. If you have a scrub brush that you would be comfortable using on bones, I would suggest using like Scotch tape or some duct tape or something and wrapping this around it and writing bone on there. Like, that's what I'm gonna do. But I literally opened this today, so I haven't had a chance to. But I just scrub them with the toothbrush. I did get soft bristle, so there's that. Now I do like to do this inside the water because if you've brushed your teeth at all, you know that sometimes when you do that, stuff flicks out, and I don't want any kind of something from the bone to be flicking in my eyes or even worse, my mouth. So I try to do the scrubbing inside the water. And as you can see, there's a lot of water in here. Ooh, are these floating? No. Let's see. These are weird bones. So anyways, I felt this gift from the universe, but it also made me think of primeval witchcraft, which is something that I've aspired to learn about. Now, I'm not saying that people in the ancient times, okay? I mean, like, when civilizations first began, that there was witchcraft. But there were things that civilizations would do to aid them gain back control from nature and to aid them in certain things. Like, they would ritualize certain things, like the hunt. There would be words of power you would use. Even today, there are words of power that we have ritualized in society that we don't even realize. Like when you go to court and you put your hand on the Bible and you say, "I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth." You have to say that, right? Put your hand on the Bible and say that. But that is something powerful that we do that has become ritualized, So there were probably certain chants or certain songs that people would use in ancient times. There would be fires lit on certain nights, even if it wasn't sabbatical. Like, there would be a ritual surrounding gathering the herbs, making a poultice for certain wounds that would get inflicted, certain things to be spoken and done throughout the pregnancy to aid in childbirth. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that people would do that I consider primeval witchcraft. And I kind of wanted to ask you guys what your thoughts are on this. Like, when does primeval witchcraft, or this concept of doing things to aid in your life, which is what we do in witchcraft, I believe, you know, you manipulate the energies to gain back control of your life and to gain back control of the things that are seemingly not in your control, like rain. Okay, like how would you call forth rain if you've been living in a drought? Especially when we're talking about like growing your own herbs. Like, a lot of us don't do that. A lot of us don't live off grid like that anymore. So when you live like that, there's bound to be certain things that you do that would bring hope, basically, that brings hope back to your life in those times of, you know, in those tumultuous times, I guess you could say. So I guess working with these bones and cleaning them, and it makes me feel ancient. It makes me feel like I've came upon something in a nature walk that feels very gift-like. Like I've come across this thing that the universe wants me to make an amulet out of it. Like, think about when you go on nature walks, you see certain leaves that you really like, or certain sticks, or bones, or a dead butterfly, or a dead dragonfly that you just feel drawn to, right? Like, I think these are gifts from the universe because there's a certain language that the universe works in that we have forgotten how to listen to, and we've forgotten how to decipher it because we don't need it to. We have felt somehow that it's become obsolete, that the internet and modern times and, you know, plumbing and running water, like, we have all that, so we don't necessarily need some things from the universe anymore, but the universal language, the language of nature, is still there. It hasn't changed, you know? And it's like, when do we not have to tap in anymore? When have we forgotten to listen? And when we try to tap in and listen now, are we getting the same messages as those people from long ago? So, I don't know. I just really like thinking about that when I get my, you know, my handy dandy tools out and like touching bone, you know? Like, look at that. Ooh, I'm gonna get some soap off of those. Like, now it is starting to splinter. Like, I don't know if y'all be able to see, but there's a little splinter there, and I have to be careful because bone splinters are real. They're just like wood splinters. You can get them in your hands. So, as always, if you feel like you don't know what you're doing, then wear gloves, or to make you feel more comfortable, I guess you could say. But it does just make me feel like witches of old. Like, you know those old paintings of witches that are like riding broomsticks and they're naked and their bellies are hanging out and they've got like figures like me, like figures like what I have, like a very Rubenesque figure. I just love looking at stuff like that and thinking about these people that would be making potions, and they'd be sitting at their fireside. They'd be sitting fireside, listening to their cauldron bubble, you know, maybe singing a song to lull their babies to sleep in the firelight, or maybe they're telling a story of what's a time of old to them. Like, all these things, to me, I have to pay homage to somehow. And I think that a lot of my witchcraft is about that, is about relearning how to listen to the earth. Listen when it gives you things. Look at this. This is a rib bone. Isn't this beautiful? Ooh, God. I got a lot of these. I've got to hurry up because some of these are splintering. Do not touch your face with this solution. Okay? It's got literal bone dust in this water. I love the look of these. I just love looking at this. And I love looking at certain shells that come from the ocean, certain fossils. Sometimes me and the kids on creek beds have found ammonites, like, you know, those spiral things that live in, or that are set on rocks. I love looking at those too, these ancient things. Anyway, this whole concept of people sitting on their fireside, not having the things we have now that we take for granted. And I think that my witchcraft is about learning how to somehow pay homage to that stuff. and re-listen, you know. I'm trying to get these rib bones out of here because I have a whole rib cage. I mean, it wasn't intact, but when I got it, but all the rib bones are there. Look at that green color. Beautiful. Okay, one more thing that I'm going to say about these bones is they're not for your dogs. Okay? But be careful, because the dogs are going to think, if you have dogs, they're going to think that these bones are for them. I came home with the bag and my lab Great Dane mix, Missy, she was like, "You got me something?" It's like, no. And especially if you don't know which kind of bones they are, they could be dangerous. They could splinter in their stomach, so just don't even do it. But you have to be careful because they will go nosing the hell around. I love this algae-like color of these. Some of these, look. Get the water off of them. Maybe there's a better one. Yeah, like it's like this green color. Isn't that weird? It looks like the grass stained. That's what they are. Because they've been in, you know, been on the ground for so long. Some of these didn't come as clean as I thought they would, but maybe it wasn't so much dirt that was on them, it was more stain. You know? Like where their tendons and things were attached. So I love handling bones. I love using bone in terms of, even in tools. Like, I don't want to say tool like in a wand kind of a sense, but you could technically use a bone like this and attach a crystal to it, or attach wire around the tip or something. They feel really nice in the hand when you want to go and shove, you know, blah, you know, like, kind of looks mushroom-esque where it's gone into the joint. Ugh, just so beautiful. But I just love, I think what I want to say is using bones and blood and things that are found in nature, like branches, you know, certain sticks. There's a primeval nature to that. I'm getting back to what the people of old did when they found things. And there's not a lot of people that experiment nowadays, because it's, you know, with pharmaceuticals and what that's led to, okay, because it was from people like witches, you know, that were experimenting with herbs and certain plants. They learned a lot with, you know, through that for pharmaceutical work, okay? You can't even tell me any different. Like, it was the work of some witch-like person that was experimenting, or a whole bunch of people that were experimenting, that found out why certain plants aid us in certain things. And that's what I love about working with bones, is that it makes me feel like I'm linked somehow to ancient ancestors of mine. So I may use these bones in ancestor work, but I may just use them, pull them out when I want that symbolism, you know, that type of primeval earth symbolism around. Look at these vertebrae. I have cleaned a lot of the vertebrae already, but they're in perfect shape, you know? Perfect shape. Plop those in the water. I have this one. I love that one. It's like a tailbone. It's so beautiful. It's like I could even mix this and put some rosemary with it, or some kind of herb with it, to make into like a talisman or an amulet. Oh, I forgot about my teeth. I've got this. This is part of the mandible that came with 2 teeth. No matter how much you pull these teeth with pliers, they're not coming out of this. So I'll have to hammer, I'll have to break this broken piece of mandible to get these teeth out. Another vertebra. I've cleaned those bones that were in the bin, and now I've put them on the plate to be put with the others to go out in the yard and hose down with water. And then I'll sun bleach them. Look at this one. I couldn't get this tooth out. It was the only one in here that, in this particular jawbone. Does that fit? So wicked. Wait. I don't know if y'all be able to see that. Anyway, one tooth stuck in there like super glued in. But then I've got the other side of the jaw that had all of its teeth. Isn't that beautiful? So I gotta wash its teeth with a toothbrush. And then that's all. The rest of them I'd already cleaned, like I said, and then I realized, I was like, I could take some of my peeps along with this. Anyway, I guess I just wanted to raise the question of when does it become obsolete for us to talk with nature, receive its gifts, receive its conversations, and be able to decipher it. When does it become obsolete? You know, when does it become something that we just, let's look it up on the internet type of a thing, you know? Let's get back to the bare bones of witchcraft, you know? And how beautiful it is. And now, I'm not saying I would go and sacrifice an animal to gain their bones, okay? I have so many people in my life that have large plots of land, myself included. I found a whole bunch of stuff in my yard before, like crystals and things. So it's more so about knowing where to look. Like when you go to, like on vacations, or when you go to explore a creek or a creek bed, there's a whole bunch of stuff on creek beds. Fossils and arrowheads and certain like beautiful river stones, you know, that you can clean. And just as long as you get permission from, you know, who owns that land, even if it's government owned, the park rangers will tell you whether you can use or you can take rocks home. But sometimes those rocks are there for a reason. So you just ask a ranger and they'll tell you whether you can take it or not. But as long as it's ethically sourced like this, I love using natural things like this. No, I wouldn't mind so much if you can gain it like from someone's property, then that's even better. But all you gotta do is ask for permission. And you can have a whole toolbox full of natural things. I'd like to think that these bones could be used in certain spells too. Like I could use this portion of the vertebra for a spell that I need to have a little bit more courage, you know, with. Like I need to have a bigger backbone when I go talk to this person and deal with this person or deal with this boss or, you know, whatever, like to aid me in to have this conversation. I think that they could be used that way as well, just in terms of symbolism. Anyway, I guess I just wanted to ramble. How long's it been? Probably 30 minutes. Just wanted to ramble with you guys about bones and ancient witchcraft. Send me your thoughts. Much love, everyone.